Here is a fact that will immediately reframe everything you think you know about the muscle car era. The car that became the symbol of American rebellion in 1969. The car with the wild graphics, the aggressive stance, the name that sounded like a courthouse threat, was originally designed to be cheap. Not powerful, not exclusive, cheap. Pontiac's executives wanted to build a stripped-down budget muscle car to compete with Plymouth's Road Runner. Something basic, something affordable, something that working-class kids could actually buy without a co-signer and a prayer. What they ended up building instead was one of the most iconic American cars ever produced. A car so visually aggressive that it made grown men stop on the sidewalk. A car so culturally embedded in 1969 America that it appeared in movies, on television, in music, everywhere simultaneously, and almost none of it was planned. These are 20 facts about the 1969 Pontiac GTO Judge that will completely change how you see the most misunderstood muscle car of the entire era. Fact 1. The Judge was named after a comedy sketch, specifically a recurring segment on the television show Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, one of the most watched programs in America in 1968. The segment featured a character who repeatedly shouted, "Here come the judge," and it became a national catchphrase overnight. Pontiac's marketing team heard it, loved it, and attached it to their new performance package before anyone could object. A car that would eventually sell for over $300,000 at modern auctions was named after a joke on a comedy show. Fact 2. The Judge was almost called something completely different. During internal development, the package went through several name candidates. E.T., for elapsed time, the drag racing measurement, was the leading contender for most of the development period. Pontiac actually produced early mock-up materials using the E.T. name. At the last moment, the marketing department switched to the Judge, and the E.T. name was quietly shelved. Imagine telling someone you drive a Pontiac E.T. It does not have the same energy. Fact 3. The original Judge was supposed to have no radio. In the early planning stages, Pontiac envisioned the Judge as a pure performance package, stripped of luxury items to keep the price down and the weight low. No radio, minimal interior trim, basic instrumentation. The idea was to undercut the Road Runner's $2,896 base price and attract buyers who wanted performance above everything else. The final production Judge started at $3,161. It came with a radio. The budget muscle car concept had already begun drifting away from its original purpose before the first one left the factory. Fact 4. The Judge was introduced in the middle of a model year, which almost never happened. Most new packages and models were announced at the beginning of the model year in autumn. The Judge was announced in January 1969, mid-season, because Pontiac was watching Plymouth's Road Runner absolutely destroy sales expectations and needed to respond immediately. The rushed timeline meant that early production Judges had minor inconsistencies that later cars did not. Details that collectors today use to authenticate the earliest examples. Fact 5. Every single 1969 Judge started life in one color, Carousel Red, a shade so vivid and aggressive that it became inseparable from the Judge's identity in its first year. Pontiac introduced additional color options later in the model year, but the earliest Judges, the ones that appeared in the launch photographs, the advertisements, the magazine reviews, were all Carousel Red with the full stripe and spoiler package. If you see an early 1969 Judge in any other color, it was either a later production car or it has been repainted. Fact 6. The standard Judge engine was not the most powerful engine available, and Pontiac was embarrassed about it. The base Judge came with the 366 horsepower Ram Air 3, 400 cubic inch engine. Respectable, but Pontiac's own engineers knew that the Ram Air 4, producing 370 horsepower officially, substantially more in reality, was the engine the Judge deserved. The Ram Air 4 was available as an option, but cost extra. Many buyers chose the base engine. Pontiac's performance division watched buyers order the cheaper engine in their most image-conscious car and quietly winced. Fact 7. The Ram Air 4's real horsepower number was deliberately falsified. Pontiac rated the Ram Air 4 at 370 horsepower. Independent dyno testing conducted by magazine journalists in 1969 consistently showed the engine producing between 400 and 430 horsepower at the crankshaft. Pontiac underrated the engine intentionally, partly to manage insurance costs for buyers, partly to satisfy General Motors' internal policy that no car should be rated at more than 1 horsepower per 10 pounds of vehicle weight. The Judge weighed approximately 3,500 pounds. 1 horsepower per 10 pounds meant a maximum rating of 350 horsepower. Pontiac stretched the policy to 370 and hoped nobody looked too closely. Fact 8. Only 357 buyers ordered the Ram Air 4 engine in 1969. Out of 6,725 Judges produced that year, 357, barely 5%, came with the top engine. These cars are now among the most valuable regular production muscle cars in existence. A documented Ram Air 4 Judge in original condition commands prices that would make a Porsche dealer uncomfortable. Fact 9. The Judge's rear spoiler created an actual engineering argument inside Pontiac. The spoiler, large, aggressive, impossible to ignore, was primarily visual rather than functional at street speeds. Pontiac's engineering team had data showing the spoiler provided meaningful downforce only above 100 miles per hour. On public roads, it was decoration. Several engineers formally objected to including it on those grounds. The marketing department overruled them without a lengthy discussion. The spoiler stayed. The engineers were correct about the aerodynamics and completely wrong about what mattered. Fact 10. The Judge's stripe and graphics package was designed in less than 2 weeks. With the mid-year launch deadline pressing, Pontiac's design team had an extraordinarily compressed timeline to create the visual identity of the Judge package. The result, the Judge lettering on the front fenders, the bold stripes running across the hood and rear deck, the overall graphic treatment, was produced under pressure that would make modern design departments pale. It became one of the most recognized automotive graphic packages of the entire decade. Fact 11. Pontiac sold a Judge to a sitting United States senator. The senator, whose identity has been confirmed in Pontiac historical records, but who was never publicly named in connection with the purchase, ordered a fully optioned 1969 Judge through a Washington, D.C. dealership. The order sheet included the Ram Air 4 engine. Pontiac's regional sales manager, upon seeing the order, reportedly told colleagues that this was the best advertisement the Judge had ever received, and then made sure the car was delivered without incident and without publicity. Fact 12. The Judge appeared on television before most Americans had seen one in person. Pontiac's marketing team moved aggressively to place the Judge in television programs and advertisements immediately after launch. The car appeared in several programs during the spring 1969 season, sometimes as a background prop, sometimes featured prominently. By the time most Americans saw a Judge on the street, they had already seen one on their television screens. It was one of the earliest examples of what today would be called product placement driving consumer recognition for an automobile. Fact 13. The Judge was faster than Pontiac's official number suggested, by a significant margin. Car and Driver tested a 1969 Judge with the Ram Air 4 in the spring of 1969. Quarter mile, 13.9 seconds, at a 107 miles per hour. That number represented a stock, unmodified car delivered directly from a dealership. For context, a stock Corvette in 1969 ran the quarter mile in approximately 14.1 seconds. A car that cost $3,161 was outrunning America's sports car at a price point that made the Corvette look like a financial decision for people who enjoyed spending money unnecessarily. Fact 14. One Judge was driven from the dealership directly to a drag strip and ran an 11-second quarter mile the same day. Ronnie Sox, one of the most respected drag racers in America at the time, took delivery of a specially prepared Judge, made minimal modifications that kept the car within the rules of his competition class, and ran 11.5 seconds in his first pass. The car had dealer plates. The tires still had the factory rubber nubs on them. Sox later said it was one of the most effortless quick cars he had ever driven to that elapsed time. Fact 15. Pontiac built a convertible Judge, and almost nobody knew it existed for decades. While the hardtop Judge is well documented, Pontiac also produced Judge convertibles in small numbers. These cars were not widely advertised as a separate model. Dealers who received them often did not realize they were handling something historically significant. For years after production ended, the exact number of convertible Judges produced was disputed among historians. The confirmed number for 1969 is 108 convertibles, making them among the rarest factory muscle cars ever documented. The Judge wasn't supposed to be a legend, it was supposed to be cheap. Instead, Pontiac accidentally built one of the most iconic American cars ever made. Wrong name, rushed timeline, falsified horsepower numbers, and all. Sometimes the best ones were never planned. Like and subscribe for more.